want to say it's interesting putting on. I felt like I was, at South by Southwest, I'd normally wear like a t-shirt and shorts or jeans. So I felt the need to dress up in my little office here at home. So pardon the non South by
It's
Southwest
good.
look.
I have a hoodie on, so I'm cash and you're dressed up, and that's how
You're,
it goes.
you're ready. Someone really smart, like my wife said, better to look good than you know, as the host or moderator. So I dressed up for you. Anyway, Heidi, why don't you do you want to introduce yourself to the thousands of people watching and talk a little bit about who you are, Thirdlove. I can talk after you briefly about Audigent, but tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of Thirdlove, and Thirdlove, for those of you who haven't heard of it, is a direct-to-consumer lifestyle brand for women focused on elevated essentials. We started with bras and underwear, and we've been expanding of late. And we really have three pillars that differentiate ourselves from the broader industry. The first is more of sizes, and by that I mean half cups, 80 bra sizes, and a real focus on fit and quality product. The second is our fitting room. So we have fitting tools that allow a woman to get sized to buy the bra online. And then the third is really a brand that hopefully most women can feel or see themselves being a part of. And that's something that obviously we've created in the industry, and now the industry's evolved. But those are our three pillars.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. I mean, I did a lot of reading about you and your company. Spoke with my wife about it. I love what you guys are doing. As a guy, I don't use the product. Neither my wife or I have even worn a bra in the past 12 months. So, it's good to do a lot of reading about you guys. You're incredibly successful, and I love what the company stands for overall. As you guys put it, with inclusivity and being a women-made brand. So I definitely just want to say congrats to you guys. I mean, there's something obviously very good going on at Thirdlove. Brief introduction for me, and then we can go into some questions. I run our agency and brand sales at Audigent. We're a next generation DMP. We've got like a different take on what the DMP used to be. There's been really zero innovation on the DMP side in the past 5 years. So, we're changing that as we speak with an innovative suite of products, trademarked, and we're helping to build really the future of cookieless identity with those products. So we call ourselves sometimes a data agency. We partner with thousands of publishers like Condé Nast, Warner Music, Universal Music, Penske Media, for example, and we act as a monetization engine for them, for their valuable data, and also obviously a strategic media partner to brands and agencies, so they can use us as an audience activation platform on all of this clean first-party data that we own. So I will stop there because this is about you and your awesome brand. But I guess to start, you began or started Thirdlove, founded it in 2012. Like, where was the inspiration from? For instance, you started out as a women's bra and underwear company, but what would you say you guys are now?
Yeah, so I mean, the original inspiration just came from what the market was back then. And so if we can all go back in time, oh my God, like 8 plus years ago, a lifetime it feels. D2C didn't exist. Direct to consumer wasn't even a term yet. And there were a few startups that were female led. I can think of like Rent the Runway and Birchbox, and that was kind of it. And there weren't really vertically integrated online brands. Warby had just launched. And so the landscape was really different. And in bras in particular, I got the question a lot like, oh, were you like really into lingerie or something like that? And I was like, not at all. I was just like an average consumer who bought bras and underwear, once a year or whatever it was. And I was still shopping like at 30 years old or whatever in Victoria's Secret. And one day I walked out of the mall with the bag, and I took the bag and put it into the bag I was carrying because I was embarrassed to be shopping there. And I had this aha moment of like, why am I spending money, at a company with a brand and product and experience, none of which I liked, right? And then did some research and really realized there wasn't anything in the market. There were no online bra brands, right? And so we were one of the first to enter, and And, flash forward to today, we're building out beyond bras and underwear, and, the market has changed dramatically, right? So the world is completely different than it was in 2013, 2014 when we first launched. And for the better, it's better for everyone, consumers and the like. But yeah, the world's really, really, really evolved over that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, so I love that because you took yourself as the example, said, I don't know, am I comfortable holding this bag? Do I like what, this company is? Do I even like their clothes? Does it fit me right? All of that type of stuff. So I guess fast forward, when you started the company, who is the Thirdlove customer? Like, who is she, on a daily basis in her life? Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first kind of core demographic that we captured tended to be like the working professional woman. And I think that was sort of probably who I was and kind of what we were building for. And then we naturally attracted that kind of tight cohort, our first million customers, probably were mostly made up of that. Flash forward to today, it's actually way larger than that. I think twofold. One, we're the #1 bra brand with millennials, so online bra brand. And so we all know what that demo is. So that's really exciting. But beyond that, we have a lot of customers of all ages. And in fact, we're really a multi-generational brand. And this is very unique because I think most brands do tend to lend themselves to a certain age cohort for the most part. It's just generally happens. We have 3 generations wearing Thirdlove. We'll have like the grandmother, the mother, and the granddaughter all wearing Thirdlove, right? So you're with quality, with a focus on fit and comfort. Every woman cares about that. And so we've really seen our target audience and demographic expand both younger and older over time.
Yeah, so it's like it's not one size fits all, but it's one size fits all. But so as far as being a lifestyle brand and kind of augmenting the company to what it started as and what it is now. I mean, are you guys exactly? And I know that's too exact to say that word. Are you where you want to be as a company?
We're just getting started. I mean, that's the nature of the startup. I think a lot of people start a company and they're like, oh, 5 or 10 years, I'll be doing X. And then you're 5 or 10 years in and you're like, wow, I'm literally just getting started. So we have millions of customers, but there's, 100 million women that, could be wearing and should be wearing Thirdlove, right? So we have a long way to go to reach that. So yeah, as a lifestyle brand, I think it's really getting beyond our core bras and underwear and having other offerings. And it's what our customers are asking us for. They want lounge, they want sleep, they want underwear, they want wireless bras, they want all kinds of other things. And so it's natural for us to expand like similar companies have done. I mean, Victoria's Secret, for better or for worse, like built and still is the largest seller of lingerie in the US, and has successfully sold many product categories outside of bras and underwear. So again, I think there's just a lot of opportunity to service the customer, and we're known for fit and quality, and standing behind that is something we can definitely deliver on.
Yeah, and to me, in doing a lot of reading and speaking with you this week, I mean, it's more than to me fit and quality because of what you guys are as a company and what you represent. I mean, inclusivity is very important to your brand overall, and obviously in this world. And that goes from the models you feature on your website to the tones of coloring within the clothing and underwear that you do sell. So I mean, for instance, you brought up Victoria's Secret, right? You famously ripped them in a New York Times full page article on some of their poor choices for their fashion show. Talk about your view of inclusivity in Thirdlove and what that kind of moment meant to you as far as what Victoria's Secret. I don't know if they stand for that but what they did in during that time and not featuring certain types of people in their fashion show.
Yeah. So I think, again, it's like if we look at the landscape today, including Victoria's Secret, it looks very different than it even did a few years ago, right? And so when we were starting out, we were sort of pushing what the norm was, pushing what the baseline was. And yeah, we had bras of different shades of naked. We had a wide size range, really trying to service, the larger cup, larger band customer, where a lot of brands historically ignored the extended size or plus size part of the market, or they were only plus size. And we set out to say, we hope and we'll try to be a brand for as many women as possible over time as we can. And so that's what we did. We put our heads down. We launched 80 sizes. We launched our t-shirt bra in a lot of different shades of naked. And then basically, we got to a point, and Victoria's Secret, the CMO, the prior CMO who quit after this event, he did an interview with Vogue. And I woke up one morning and I had a bajillion texts on my phone and people were calling me. And I'm like, what's going on? And the title of this article in Vogue was, "We're nobody's third love, we're women's first love." And obviously a dig at us. And the article referenced us a bunch of times, but more than that, he said things like, we would never feature plus size models, in our fashion show. We tried it 10, 20 years ago. It didn't work, or nobody liked it, or whatever. And all these other things that just were, to me, radically wrong. And also not the way women think, not the average woman. And things like, oh, the fashion show, it's like a woman's idea of like a fun Sunday night to watch that. I'm like, really? That's what women want to watch? Like, I think a lot of men watch it. I think some women watch it, but it's maybe not what it used to be. Right. And so it was a moment, and we decided to write an open letter, and we took out a full page ad in the New York Times, and it was an open letter to Victoria's Secret, and I signed it. And it was basically like, you said this, we believe something totally different. Here's what we believe. And it created a ton of conversation and put us on the map for sure. And so, before that, we weren't trying to go after them. We were trying to do something really different. And that was a unique moment in time where it felt like the right time to like have a voice and offer an alternative to women and men. I mean, that's the crazy thing about this, is that so many men reached out to me about that open letter, like shockingly, like dads, like, I was reading this with my daughter at the breakfast table on Sunday morning, and husbands, et cetera, like men were as happy about the letter as women were. And to me, that was like one of the coolest elements that came out of that letter, was how many types of people got behind it.
Yeah, I love that. And I have a daughter, she's 9. That type of stuff matters. When Kamala Harris is being sworn in, these are the moments in time that matters. So I love that you did that. Was it even a choice? Did you even like harp on it, or did you just go?
To be candid, my co-founder, who's my husband, who's a male, was like, we need to do this. And I was like, oh my God, but it's like so out, like, when you start that dialogue, you worry about like the what ifs. And so he really encouraged it. And then we just went for it. I mean, we turned it around in 24 hours. So it wasn't a ton of time to really think about it. And it's funny, we didn't really think about what would happen after we just did it. It was in the moment.
Yeah, I love that. So no, I mean, it's cool to hear. That struck me as super important. So I love that. Anyway, so the switching kind of subjects here, I also found something that, I found as someone, in the kind of the services industry, right, in advertising, you think about time and how many orders you get, or is there enough time in the day to do this? And I was reading something that caught my eye that, for instance, you guys carry about 80 sizes of bras, for example. And so this is double the industry average. A few years ago, I think you introduced like 24 more sizes at one time, and you had to put 1.3 million customers on a waiting list. Is that a problem or a dream?
I think it's a dream. I do think when you're launching new product, you having a little bit of scarcity and excitement around new product launches or new size launches is a good thing. And so certainly there was a lot of pent-up demand for those sizes. And we knew that because of our fit finder, because when we don't offer a size that a woman needs, we take that into account. And that's how we create new sizes. We use the data to inform what sizes we develop next, or what products we develop next. So it was very targeted that those women were on the wait list because we knew they were asking us for bras, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if my account management and client services team would think it was a dream to have 1.3 million orders. I know my CEO would, but I'll talk to him about that after. So I guess, you touched on data, and I was definitely going to go here. Look, I'm in the data industry as an aspect of advertising. It fuels everything we do. We see page behavior. Our code is on all of our publisher partner pages at every piece of their domain. So we understand what a person is reading, what they're clicking on, how much time they've spent on a page, what they're hovering over, where they go to next, all that stuff. Can you talk a little bit about like, how is data informing your decisions? I mean, you probably have millions of data points on feedback or buying patterns, specific markets. So what role, I guess, does data play in the world of Thirdlove?
Yeah, I mean, I think data is hugely important. And then there's also the qualitative and the art. I mean, we're a brand, we're a product company. So it's completely, you have art and science mixing together every day. Every kind of decision, nothing's purely data and nothing is purely not data, because there's data around almost anything. So through the fitting room fit finder, we have 18 million women who have done that at this point. That's a massive amount of data around preference and fit issues. And then when you take that and you layer on customer, to your point, customer purchase patterns, what women buy in what order, how they shop our site, how often they interact with customer service, all of those things come together to create more segmentation and more personalized journeys. We know if you buy a certain kind of bra, what bra you're most likely to buy, or what category you're most likely to buy the next time, you come to us. So that all plays in. And then I think you balance that with what are the key messages at the right moments of a customer's journey. And that's been something we've spent a lot more time on recently. And we're seeing a lot of.
When you say the customer's journey, are you speaking about in their everyday life where they travel on the internet or their device or however they use it, or do you mean on your site?
I mean, just in the life cycle of Thirdlove, right? If we acquire an email and she does fitting room, what, and she says certain things, what kinds of emails or texts are we going to give to her in what order? And assuming she engages with us and becomes a customer, how often and what are we talking to her about and what's relevant to her? And so all of that kind of plays into like journey mapping and customer mapping for us. And I think there's just a lot more opportunity actually for almost every brand out there to do a better job at that.
Yeah. Personalization is absolutely king or queen. It's just unbelievable as far as like how things have changed. Specific brands that I fall in love with that I want text from, whether it's a sale or the size that I'm missing. So cool. That's good to hear. We've got to talk about it, right? Quarantine, right? So everyone wants to know, how has this changed with, the women that are visiting your site and really everyone kind of staying at home, being quote safer. What do you see from the customer base? More, less, different? How would you explain what's going on over the past year?
Yeah, I would say last year in 2020, we really focused on efficiency and profitability. And from just that focus, we naturally relied on our repeat customers more than in the past. And that worked time. And so it was an interesting time because even though people were talking about like no one's buying fashion and things like that, we actually saw, especially our repeat customers, gravitate towards product launches. I think people were looking for happiness and entertainment. There was a yellow bra we launched last summer that I was like, oh man, we're never going to sell this thing. And it we sold out in 4 weeks. And it just showed, I don't think there's any one only customer mindset. And certainly women are more into comfort. That being said, this year, it's very different. I mean, we're now in lounge and sleep. We have a lot of wireless bras. We just launched 2 over the past month, more coming. And we launched a new campaign. So we launched a new campaign called Your Boobs Deserve Thirdlove, and it's funny. And I think that for us was when we thought about what were we going to do this year to acquire new customers and continue to build the brand. We wanted to invest in a campaign. We wanted to do something very different. And if you think about the world of bras, what do brands generally sell? One of two things: sex or sexy is one, or like extreme comfort / not that exciting, maybe not that pretty. And one thing that no brand really sells or leans into is humor. And so that's been something for us that we've really put a stake in the ground for. We have over 500,000 views on our Your Boobs Deserve Third Love long form content on YouTube, and it's resonating really well. So exciting to have a different way kind of to talk about what women's issues are with their bras and those relationships that they have.
And that's the one where literally the woman has a relationship with her bra and is hugging it, kissing it.
Well, she falls in love. So, you first see her and she's on a date, and you think she's on a date with her partner or somebody. Yeah. And she's telling the bra that it's letting her down, or telling telling somebody that she's being let down. When it pans out, you realize it's a bad bra. So she throws her drink on the bra, and then she finds a good bra, which is Thirdlove. And then she, leans in to say, is it too early to say I love you? Because women do fall in love. If you have a great bra, you continue to buy it forever. And it is really like that. It's taken a little far, but it is truly, that is the relationship women. It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. No, it makes a ton of sense. I love that. Look, this isn't a hat, right? It's a very personal piece of clothing. So, it better fit well. That's why I love what you guys did with the half sizes. I can only imagine, like I compared it with you to jeans, right? My length is somewhere between like a 32 and a 33, and I always have to get them hemmed no matter what. And it's a pain in the ass because you get your new pair of jeans and you want to wear them, but I got to bring it for a $10 hem somewhere. And I got to wait another week to wear it. And it's like, my jeans didn't cost X, they cost Y because I have to make this change. So I get it, in a different way. So obviously DTC is a massive trend. It's probably one of the hottest spaces in our world right now. So how I know you said at the beginning, like DTC 8 years ago, it's very different, didn't really exist like it does right now. Like, what is the difference now? And maybe it's over the past year compared to 3 years. How do you see this space, competition? Kind of a loaded question, but like, how does Thirdlove evolve in the DTC space, and how is the DTC space evolving? That's a lot.
Yeah. No, but it's a good question, and something that I think I spend a ton of time thinking about. If you go back to when we started to really take off, say 2015, 2016, we were advertising mostly on Facebook. Instagram, you couldn't advertise at that point, right? It wasn't a platform where you could do that. And I remember at that point, we started testing podcasts, and they were really effective. And I remember telling one of our investors, like, oh, we're doing advertising on podcasts. And they're like, podcasts? Like it was like not even on the radar of a channel, right? So if you think about how much the world's changed, and with all the streaming services, et cetera, it's ever changing, right? Marketing, and you're referring to, your company as well. Like the world of marketing and digital marketing is constantly evolving. And so you want to ideally you're staying ahead of it, right? So if I think back, a few years ago to today, I would say that we are doing a lot of the same things, but spending money in a different way on those different channels. And for us, because we're continuing to build a brand, a lot more of our investment is in channels like Spotify or, OTT and linear TV, and with continued investment, of course, across other digital advertising as well. And so I think it's just a constant look. You're asking what we're doing. We're testing, we're iterating, we're trying different things. It's not just about, the interesting thing about this question is, right, it's never just about the channel or the platform, it's about the content. And one doesn't go without the other. So you could say, oh, well, whatever didn't work for me. And it's like, yeah, but was your targeting right? And was your content right for that audience at that moment on that specific channel or platform? And if you can't wholeheartedly say yes, you actually don't really know if it's effective for you. So there's a lot that, marketing's complicated.
Yeah. So, I mean, measurement, right, goes with how you market, where you market, why you're doing it, who you're reaching. I mean, are these tools in-house? Do you use an agency? How would you explain, what that looks like for you?
It's a mix. I mean, generally what we'll do is we will a lot of times leverage agencies if something's new for us, a new channel, or we don't have the expertise on our team, we'll leverage an agency, really try to get some learnings, and then eventually bring it in-house. Most of the time we see a lot more success over time with bringing it into house, and marketing is a core competency. So if I really think about like, what do we do different at Thirdlove than other companies? One is product, physical product, and the other is marketing. So that's core to us. So really important we own that as much as possible.
Yeah, smart, efficient. I like it. And then I want to talk some about something obviously that's close to heart with your customers. Talk to me about like customer loyalty. I mean, it's such a massive part of any brand. How do you ensure it? How do you grow it? What are the pieces of Thirdlove that allow for better or best in class customer loyalty?
It always goes back to the product and the experience. As we all know, because we're all consumers, you tend to repeat purchase from a company that delivered a product or service or experience or all of those things that was good for you and hopefully great, right? So I think none of us are anything without that quality. So I always go back to that. That's first and foremost. And then second, it's how do you continue to engage, right? Who's your audience? What do they care about? Like, how do you provide that content and connection? For us specifically, we also launched a loyalty program maybe 2 years ago now, that's been pretty successful. It's called Hooked. And, we have different things like on your anniversary or birthday, you get a free pair of underwear with your order. So little things to surprise and delight and keep someone engaged over time. I think there's a lot more we could do on loyalty. But again, it really depends on how you're going to invest your time and money. But it's all about the experience, because if somebody has a great experience, they refer you, right? And whether that's verbal or through a true referral program doesn't really matter. It's really word of mouth is hugely important and in any space.
So, and then do you find, obviously word of mouth, but so, you guys have your proprietary fitting room. How are you getting, I guess there's advertising, right? And there's social and there's feedback and people are talking to their friends, as well as the loyalty program. For people with such a personal product, right? Is it tough to get them into the fitting room for the first time?
Not really. I mean, yeah, of course, there's always a bounce, a certain amount of people who bounce on, the first question. But the super interesting thing is if you put in the answer to the first question, almost all of you'll get through the whole thing. And so what that tells us, and it's an interesting question because we just relaunched our Fit Finder as fitting room. And so the fitting room has 3D animation. It has a lot more questions related to style and life stage, and other, probably at least 10 more questions than our Fit Finder had. And one of our worries internally was like, when we switch over to this, are we going to see a drop off because we're asking her to spend another? And what's interesting is we haven't seen a drop off at all. So again, once somebody is engaged, they're willing to have that conversation because they know they're going to see something better at the end, right? If it's a recommendation, the expectation is you give information and you get something out of it. And we definitely provide that with style and size.
Yeah. And then finally, it's sold on your website. You guys, I also like that you do the, you will send people what they're ordering so they can try it on. What works better, buying it through you guys or pointing them to, a Nordstrom's or a Bloomingdale's? What do you prefer? And do you do?
Yeah, so we don't point outward, obviously, right now. I mean, certainly I'm sure there are women who do our fitting room and then do take that and purchase other places, which is also totally fine. we're happy to provide that service. But yeah, but the goal is really to provide context. So one of the things, with a quarter of our customers being half sizes, if you get one of those recommendations, there isn't another brand you can go to that's going to have that half cup. So there just isn't another option. So we focus a lot around that education at the end to say, here's what we gave you as your size, and here's why. Like, here's why the size is 70% of the time, the size is different than the size she thinks she is. So we have to explain that and give her context and comfort in the new size. And so a lot of it is education, and that's a huge part of our value prop that's different than others.
So they're saying, oh, great. I was trying to squeeze into something or something was too loose, and now you've kind of perfected that. Yeah, it's interesting that, other companies aren't doing that. So kudos to you guys. Obviously, that will bring in a lot of new customers, which it already has. I would love to field questions from, the crowd, if there are any, or we can keep talking. Brand Innovators, do we have questions? Okay, I guess not. Do you, I guess, Heidi, then the final question for me would be, what's on the horizon for Thirdlove? What's coming up? Anything big and exciting? You want to break news here? Up to you.
We've had a lot of newness over the past month and a half, and I think our sales are really reflecting that momentum, and which is really, really exciting. So I already talked about the new product categories, and we'll continue to launch a lot of new product this year. And that's very different than how we started. I mean, we originally started as really focused and saying, we're going to focus on bras and underwear until we sell millions of them. And we really did do that. It was very, very narrow. And now it's a time as a brand with our community, with our customer base to expand. That's one thing. And then, continued interesting partnerships. I mean, like I said, your boobs deserve Thirdlove is everywhere. And then how does that continue to evolve and stay fresh as we launch into new categories? So just a lot of new moments. And then I already talked about the fitting room. So a lot of these things, including kitting, where you can buy different products together and we give you an additional discount, have been really working well. So just, I would say, continuing to doing what we're doing, but at a more rapid pace with launches.
Okay. So the questions are rolling in. So based on what you just said, I'll start with this one. I mean, how do you see your customer base expanding? I mean, it sounds like you can reach anyone and everyone because there is something for everyone at your company. So how do you expand upon that?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is the product. So if you think about what certain demographics may wear, whether it's age or size related, it's really thinking through that and just making sure we have the right product mix to reach slightly younger women. So if you think of the millennials, you want to kind of go slightly younger. It's probably a slightly lower price point, maybe a more unstructured product on average. And then if you think about going older, what do they want? Maybe more support, more coverage. And so to me, it's more of a product question. And then when you have the products, the customers come. But expanding kind of up and down from what I would say the core is.
Okay, cool. Here's a really good one. I like this. As leaders, you're always developing your abilities. What skills would you like your marketing team to develop this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that we're doing today and with this campaign that I talked about that we've never done before is integrated marketing. So when I say integrated, I mean literally across every channel. And so we have a new head of integrated marketing who's phenomenal. And when we had this campaign, she really took a step back and said, how do we leverage this 2-minute, 40-second video into 6-second snippets, 15, 30 across every channel, organic, paid, and what does that look like? At what moment with what pieces of content? And so I think that to me, integration and then right message at right time, which we were kind of talking about, those are like the big things, meaning every time we produce an asset or a piece of content, we should leverage it as much as possible. And then two, who and when and what, like just kind of marketing 101, but hard to do at scale.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm learning a lot about that now. We have an in-house creative studio and just hired a great guy who is our chief creative officer. So it's interesting seeing that in our studio, and then working with some of the clients to do that. Cause quite frankly, I've never, looked at that aspect of advertising and bringing great data and great in-house creative together. So that's awesome to hear, because what you've done with your content, it's a new look. I think it's so cool. It is funny. Yes, I watched it. So I just one more question for me. Having a purpose-driven element to your business, which we talked about, whether, fighting civil injustice or climate change, et cetera, is important to obviously the Gen Z consumers. How has this shifted the way your company considers purpose-driven marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to everyone. I don't think it's just Gen Z at this point. I think people care about the brand, they care about the founders, they care about why the company does what it does, and all of the things. I think it's very important. I mean, we're a company, the mission statement we set out with in 2012 was to help women feel confident and comfortable in their everyday lives. All women, and by all, sizes, shapes, shades, ethnicities, backgrounds. And so that's core to us today. I mean, if you think about what we have that's different and supports that, we're the largest donor of bras in the country. We've donated over $40 million of product. We also have our TL effect, where we support female founders of color. We just picked our second winner, and I'm mentoring her, and she's getting a grant. So I think giving back to the community is hugely important to Thirdlove, to our team, and to our mission. And I think that's core to also why customers like our brand and our company.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Emily. So Heidi, I think we can end there, which is an awesome place to end. I just want to say thank you. In the few times we've talked, I've learned a lot from you and your company. And I think you guys are doing an unbelievable job. It was an interesting subject matter for me to talk about, but I absolutely loved it. So thank you, and congrats to you guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I'm such a fan of Thirdlove. It's like my favorite company. So was so fascinated to hear from you, and Eric. You did a great job of moderating on a subject that you're new to learn about. So we're so thankful that you both joined us today.